On the right, we have an authentic piece of Disney history, that Gulfstream 1 was known at airports across the country as November 234 Mickey Mouse, but we just call it the Mouse. In 1964, Walt Disney and his hand-picked team used this plane to scout locations for what he called the Florida Project. Soon, they secretly began purchasing thousands of acres of land, which became the Walt Disney World Resort in 1971. During the creation of the resort, and later Epcot, the Mouse shuttled studio executives and Imagineers between Burbank and Orlando, making it the most used executive aircraft in the country. Appropriately, the Mouse retired here in 1992. As Walt used to say, it was all started by a mouse. In this case, the 234 Mickey Mouse. On our right, we once again sweep past the magnificent Mediterranean village of our Lights, Motors, Action Extreme Stunt Show. This high-octane attraction is based on the hit show from the Walt Disney Studios Park in France. In this action-packed production, you'll feel like you're right there on the set during the filming of a spy thriller, complete with custom-built cars, motorcycles, even jet skis. You'll experience the split-second timing, coordinated driving, and fiery special effects that make action movies a real blast. This staging area to our right is known as Acceleration Alley. Here, the custom-built stunt show vehicles rev their engines up to 70 miles per hour before making their high-speed entrances onto the stage for our Lights, Motors, Action Extreme Stunt Show. Of course, these are professional stunt drivers. We hope you'll enjoy their daring driving skills, but please, don't try them yourself. On the left, we've reached our second boneyard with more historic props and vehicles. When we reuse older props in a new production, they're often refitted with custom parts and given a whole new color scheme. You might not even recognize them the next time you see them on screen. For instance, coming up is our friend Herbie the Love Bug. He went through a special demolition derby makeover. Those dents and dings were added on purpose, but he can be polished up as good as new for his next starring role. On our right, we now have a very different view of the fishing village set. From this point of view, you can see that there is no inside to the buildings. They are just false fronts, or facades. In the movie business, set builders only create what the camera has to see. It's an old movie trick dating all the way back to the silent era. To add to the sense of realism and avoid the cost of set building, many of today's television shows and movies film on location in cities and towns across the U.S. But out in the real world, you've got to contend with noise, traffic, and crowds, and various visual elements that may or may not belong in your film. Here on the Backlot, we can avoid those problems because we created our very own flexible urban environment. Our Streets of America facades can stand in for a small town or a giant metropolis. As we come around the last corner on our route, you'll see the skyline of New York City in the distance. It's really a series of painted flats, expertly designed to fool the eye and the camera. We can dress and decorate these streets to look like any city we want, from Chicago to San Francisco. Depending on the choice of vehicles, props, and costumes, we can even turn back the clock and set our story in a different time. And what's more, these sets are built with Florida weather in mind. They're made to withstand 100-mile-an-hour winds. You're welcome to visit our Streets of America any time during your visit today and get an up-close look at this. We've just about reached the end of our tour. Our final stop is the American Film Institute Showcase, where you can see the actual costumes and movie props used in some of Hollywood's most famous films. There are some pretty amazing items in there, so feel free to take all the time you like. Please stay seated until our tram comes to a complete stop and check around you for any personal items that may have fallen during our trip.